Welcome to the latest episode of Circle Back. I'm your host, Sam Davidson, the CEO of the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, coming to you from the Chase studio here at the EC. And today we have a fantastic guest in studio, one of the Hall of Famers from the Nashville Entrepreneur Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Cal Turner. Cal, welcome.
Sam, thank you.
Man, I'm excited to get into this. I'm excited to have met you, to have heard your story for so long in Nashville. And so what better place to start than at the beginning, like we do with a lot of guests. So a couple questions I want to ask you just to start, and we'll get into more of your background. But who was the first entrepreneur that you ever remember knowing or meeting?
The first entrepreneur was my grandfather,
Okay.
Luther Turner, who only had a third grade education, but wound up being a co-founder of Dollar General.
And then what was the first thing you did that was entrepreneurial?
Well, I don't really think I've done anything entrepreneurial.
Okay.
I have studied entrepreneurs all my life.
Yeah.
All of my professional life. And I have found them to be fascinating. My father being the primary entrepreneur. And, well, there's so much I can say about my father. I scarcely know where to start.
Well, let's start. I mean,
Sam.
so knowing Luther and your father and starting Dollar General, walk us through that, at least what you learned about that growing up and what you got a chance to carry on in terms of growth. I mean, what do you remember about being young and watching that or seeing that all take shape?
Sam, when I was 5 years old, my dad came home early and said, Cal Jr. is going with me on store visits today. I hadn't gone to the first grade yet when I did my first store visit with my father.
And how many stores was there at the time?
Well, at that time, there were probably about 30 stores.
Okay. And that was part of what he did is he visited them.
Oh, yes. He visited stores a lot.
And so he's going to take you. What do you remember from that?
What I remember from that is that his driving scared is it all right to say hell?
Yes, you can say
on
hell.
This
That's
show?
totally
Okay.
fine.
He scared the hell out of me, actually.
Great.
And particularly since I could not even see out the window of the Chevy, and the roads were terrible in Kentucky where we were driving.
Yeah.
So we got to the store, and I was relieved.
You made it.
We're in the store. And then we went inside, and they started talking this business talk
Okay.
that bored this 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I was with my dad, and I was with the men.
Yeah.
And that's my father, who was an only child, actually grew up at bankruptcy auctions in the Depression with his father. His father had saved something out of every check he ever got. That was Luther Turner's philosophy. Don't spend any check. Save something out of it. And because this third grade educated farmer had saved out of every check, he was the financial support of the real entrepreneur in our family, whom I call the real Cal Turner.
So the real Cal Turner, we're going to get to that in a minute. I mentioned to you earlier, I was telling people you were going to be in studio. Cal Turner was. And they said, which one? And so we're going to get jumping at that in a second. So what can you tell us about the very beginning of Dollar General, of that philosophy that it sounds like Luther had, the real Cal Turner had? What was some of that you learned, whether it was at 5 or eventually as you grow up in the business?
Well, the company didn't begin as a retail organization.
Okay.
My father and grandfather found a large brick building for sale in Scottsville, Kentucky. And Sam, you didn't know this, but Scottsville, Kentucky is the center of the universe.
Okay. I can't wait to hear why.
You could just ask any of the 2,000 people who were there at the
Who lived
time.
there? Okay. Yeah, I will.
And A Turner will buy anything at half price.
Okay.
And the building was bought at half price, so they started a wholesale business. And my dad was the original employee of the company, and he would buy merchandise. He was the quintessential buyer. He knew the customer that he could sell to because he had grown up in the farming communities of southern Kentucky, the ones close to Scottsville, Kentucky primarily. And he knew the customer. And and there was a love and concern for the well-being of those struggling farmers in small town Kentucky and Tennessee. We were a Kentucky and Tennessee company all the time. But Sam, please feel free to keep me focused.
Well, no,
if you can.
Let me know. This is great because let me tell you what's both a thing that we teach here, but a thing that we don't. But I want you to talk more about. One is knowing your customer. That's a basic fundamental that we try to stress to every founder who comes in. If you don't know your customer, if you can't do more customer discovery, what they want to pay, what features they want, how you're different, et cetera. But you said a word, love. That he had a love for these customers. We don't say that. We don't teach that in our curriculum. Maybe we should. What was it about that value that allowed early success and the continual success? I mean, again, Dollar General, one of the largest companies here in Middle Tennessee in the U.S. Why did you say the word love?
Well, you don't say the word unless you feel it in your heart. And my original buddy was Luther Turner, my grandfather.
Okay.
And I went out with him on the farm to check the cows when I was about 10 years old. And we'd go out and check the cows, and to this day, I don't know what we were checking. I think the backs were supposed to be straight, and the legs were supposed to reach the ground.
There you go.
That's all I knew to check. But my relationship with him was the foundation of love. He, at the age of 11, had lost his father, and he had 3 younger siblings, and he lived on a very heavily mortgaged farm that was his. He was in charge. He had a widowed mother, 3 younger siblings, and he was at 11 with a 3rd grade education. And he was the hardest working farmer, although he was the youngest. And he was chosen to open the first farmers co-op store in the community because Luther Turner was the hardest working. Now there's a message in there. Hard work can be the key to advancement. And Luther Turner was the hardest working man I've ever known. And he also understood the need to be thrifty. And so the values that came to me from a very young age came from that life-created entrepreneur. The life that was his to live required his becoming an entrepreneur.
And that's what led him to love these customers, to be concerned about their well-being because he faced it at 11.
Yes.
Much less period.
And in the development of Dollar General many years later, I held Luther Turner up as the model because of his only having had a 3rd grade education. He assumed every person he met was smarter than he, and he should learn something from everybody he met.
Wow. And
I consider him to have been the smartest man I've ever known.
And there, you go on the store visit, you're 5. You see what what your family is creating, was there a moment growing up where something clicked, or did you always know, oh, this is my line of work, or I don't know, we'll see what happens? What was your motivation growing up, and what did you think you would be, and did you think you would eventually lead what was 30 stores at the time when you were 5 years old?
Well, I did not want to go into that business.
Really?
Because I saw in my father someone who knew retailing like the back of his hand. And relative to him, I was a very poor comparison. And yet there was a bonding of business that occurred in our family growing up. For example, my mother would come in and say, now, children, you need to pray for snow until you get results.
Okay.
Because your father has bought too many overshoes. And if he can't sell them, he's not going to be able to pay the banks off at the end of the year. So pray for snow. Dear Lord, help us. Dear Lord, help it to snow. And then another December 15th, she came in and she said, children, pray for the snow to melt because our customers can't get out to shop and your dad may not be able to pay off the banks.
Yeah.
If you don't pray for the snow to melt.
So this is in your blood. Clearly.
Yeah, so, dear Lord, so the business intervened in the family life of Turners.
And at what point, so you didn't think you were going to do it, you didn't want to do it. Well, then what happens as you get older? What are those moments, or one or two of those, where you realize, well, maybe, we'll see?
Well, it's interesting that Luther Turner lost his father in a wrestling accident because his father, Johnny Turner, was very young. In a Saturday afternoon wrestling accident, Johnny Turner was killed. I think he broke his back or so. He was just suddenly gone. And Luther, at 11, was in charge of the family. I had my, I would call it, conversion experience at the age of 11.
Wow.
And I was changed in a way that I did not understand. And the little old ladies of the Scottsville Methodist Church, with tears running down their face, would say, we're praying that you're going to become a preacher. Well, that made me cry with them. The thought of being a preacher. Sure. I could already tell the church was not for me. and all of those committees that resolved nothing, but kept praying, evidently.
That's right.
But the world of business was close at hand, and it took me a while to understand that business was my calling. When you have opportunity to create value in the marketplace, you're blessed. And if you're smart enough to realize that you need to surround yourself with persons smarter than you, and I knew that innately all along the way, that there are many people who know how to do things I don't know how to do.
Sure.
So if you can learn from those who have learned from the hard knocks of life, and that was our customer at Dollar General. So actually, I consider business to have been my calling, which I fought at first.
How long did you fight it?
Well, I fought it until we got a new Methodist preacher in our town. We did a retread every 4 years back
Sounds
then.
about right. Yeah.
And we got a new preacher.
Okay.
And he said, Cal Jr., I understand you're thinking about becoming a preacher. Yes, sir, I am. Well, here's my advice to you. Don't do it. What? Don't do it. Do something else. Find anything else you can do other than be a preacher and do that. Because only if there's nothing else you can do are you called to be a minister of the gospel. And I thought, well, thank you, Brother Woodson. I feel liberated. Thank you, Lord.
That's right.
Hey, I'm free. Free to do what, though? What? And then I realized that this family business, and my father never actually said it to me, but he wanted me to come in the business with him. So my calling was into family business. And there is something about the family dynamic in a business that can be very productive. You can reach out and connect with other people if your attitude is that employees become part of your family. If you treat them like family, and especially if you recruit from your customer base, you're recruiting people who understand the customer. If you can surround yourself with people who love and understand the customer you seek to give a better life to in your business. And that is what propelled Dollar General to the success it is today. Today it's a Fortune 500 public company. It's very successful. It's run by non-Turners who are doing it better than the Turners did. And I think that's the mark of good leadership if your successors are smarter.
Well, we see that success. You're exactly right, of course, on where it is now. When you mentioned your father was hoping you would go in the family business, was it his goal, hope, desire? How big did he want to make this thing? Did he ever tell you that, or was there a point where you all thought this could end up where it is today?
Well, what you're saying, Sam, sounds right, but it doesn't relate to us.
I thought you could go back in time and change all that and say, "Oh yeah." Luther wanted to go public for day one.
The entrepreneur seeks the next change that feels right to him. Often an entrepreneur is excited about something that he wants to be a part of, an idea that he had. For example, my brother, whom we lost about 2 weeks ago, had a vision for the Gulch here in Nashville.
Sure did.
And he proved to be the significant entrepreneur of the Turner family because he had a dream and he implemented his dream.
He's also in our Hall of Fame. So you're exactly right. Because especially what the Gulch was like then. People thought he was crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yes, when the Turner family came to Nashville, downtown Nashville was very different from today.
That's right. So this grows over time. Dollar General grows over time. 30 stores when you were there at 5 years old. So as you're getting older, when Reverend Woodson releases you from the ministry, how big was Dollar General then? How much had it grown at that time? And were you when did you start to get into the business more, other than just tagging along on store visits, so to speak?
Well, that's difficult to answer because my life has been a continuum of change that has motivated me always. I like change, and I like being part of change, and bringing others who have the same dream of change in partnership with me
Okay.
to accomplish that. And I think that entrepreneurs come in all different kinds of flavor. I have seen amazingly successful entrepreneurs that many of them are completely unlike each other.
Of course.
And God has something different in mind with every person he created. And and I think, and I agree with my father, who said a person ought to pay attention to what he enjoys or she enjoys. And that's probably what they're good at. What you enjoy, what motivates you. And that's what my brother proved when he moved to downtown Nashville, when nobody would consider living downtown except Steve and Judy Turner. And then the Gulch wound up being developed as a result of that.
Yeah.
And downtown will always be different because of him.
That's right.
And he's the baby of our family. The baby.
Yeah.
He was, when he was at Dollar General working side by side with my father and me, he brought a difference to that company that was very developmental. An entrepreneur really ought to realize that there's nobody like him or her anyhow, and he should seek the diversity of talent needed for success. And he shouldn't bring in persons just like him, or she shouldn't bring in persons like her. You need others who can broaden your perspective.
How did you keep that in your mind? Because you just mentioned all of the benefits of a family business, and lots of people start family businesses. Sometimes I think I see it in this role, they can get a not a bad rap, but an unfair shake. Oh, you just want to start a little family business. They always put little in front of it, thinking you want to limit growth. You're only going to get to so big. You're only going to make so much money. Limit your success. Clearly, we know from Dollar General, and there's countless others that have shown you can be as big as you want to be. What I'm hearing you say is, for you to grow, for Dollar General to have grown, it needed, you've mentioned before, smarter people, but different people in the room helping make decisions. When was that lesson learned for you?
Well, I think a really fundamentally important lesson is one you keep learning all your life.
Over and over again.
And I'm 85 years old now, and I'm still trying to learn that, Sam. And I hope I die with a lesson plan in mind, because the opportunity of serving others. Now, you're probably going to have to edit this part out.
That's fine.
But I'm going to tell you anyhow. When we got Dollar General going, we rejected the word service.
Okay.
Because Turner's came off the farm into retailing, and we noticed that the way to have calves was to have the cow serviced, or to have pigs, you have the sow serviced. And Turner's knew that when somebody was offering you service, what they were going to do to you.
Point taken. That's good.
Serving is the word. And the mission of that company today is serving others. Serving is an ongoing process. It's not a one and done kind of thing. So you make a long-term commitment to the welfare of your customer if you're a true entrepreneur, in my opinion.
How did you put that into practice when you were leading the company? How did you make sure you were serving the customer, knowing who the customer was over all the years that you were there?
Well, I first knew that since I didn't understand retailing like my father, as my father understood retailing, that I needed to surround myself with persons smarter than I. Now, the person who's smarter than you might not be as sophisticated, but the best problem solving occurs where the problem happens.
Yeah.
And if you, as the leader of any organization, have the wisdom of understanding that you can go out to where your problems exist. We all have problems. Every enterprise has issues to deal with. Go out there and learn from the persons who have acquired wisdom, acquired by the real world out there, the real world of your company, the real world of your organization. That's where the wisdom is. And if you, as leader of any organization, respect the common sense wisdom of your frontline employees or associates, if you prefer, then you have the makings of being a very productive leader.
How did you do that as you grew? Because you're talking about thousands and thousands of people, frontline employees, who were out there because, again, Dollar General has lots of stores, and so keeps them a certain size, puts them in certain areas. So how did you, just as the problems, but the benefits of growth, keeping all that together? I get it, it's other people, but stay committed to that versus technology, data. All those things are important, but what I'm hearing you say is it's still these people. The customers are people, employees are people, part of the family.
Well, I had the benefit of the love, respect, and affirmation of my father. My father believed in me and in a family business. The affirmation of the senior generation is what is really needed by the upcoming generations. So I really think of myself as a family business person. And I have the concern that family businesses with the right values at their core should always think like family businesses. And that was the key to the success of Dollar General, in my opinion. We were family.
Yeah.
And my father was an only child who seemed to want to adopt more into his family. And we kept doing it. And the interviewing the talent that you intend to bring into your company is critical. And my interviews of talent were very unorthodox. I'm sure it's hard for you to imagine that I would be unorthodox, Sam, but but I was back then in my youth. And and I would say now, others believe you're a good candidate as a merchant or as an operator or as a financial executive or a supply chain person or what have you. But I want to get inside your skin and look out at the world and see how it feels from in there. So tell me about, young man, tell me how you're different from your father. That question gives you a lot of insight into how that person was put together as a person. If it's, now, I confess that I don't understand women enough to have understand the counterpart of what to ask women, but I did learn along the way that women have a better innate sense of leadership than men have, because they connect with others better. Men have to get over being too macho if they're going to succeed in matters long term, in my opinion. They have to learn how to connect with others in a productive way. And different entrepreneurs do that differently.
Sure. How did you learn that? You talk about the longevity of that. You had a long run in the family business. Did you learn that lesson at some point, getting over your own macho-ness?
Well, I had a wonderful mother who would say to me when I was a teenager and getting into trouble that teenagers get into, son, for a good boy, you get into a lot of trouble. Now let's talk about these latest examples of trouble, and let's try to reconcile that. That was her motive. Let's reconcile that with the fact. It is a fact that you're a good boy. That tells you how to develop human talent. Affirm the talent and try to reconcile the variation from that ideal in that person. And we had father and son issues to deal with throughout the development of that company. And one time something went wrong in the company, and my dad, who was old school retailing, said, "Who did that?" And I said, "Well, Daddy, I'm not going to tell you." "Son, do you know who did it?" "Yes, sir." "Who did it?" "I'm not going to tell you, Daddy." Because our company is now too big for there to be any one person who did it. And our agenda is going to change. We're not going to say who, we're going to say what. What happened? And then we will say who needs to come together to fix and learn. We need to learn something from. God gives error as the best learning tool. When it's easier to learn from your mistakes, I think, than it is to learn from your successes. Because if you'll strive to be intellectually honest, you'll have to admit the gaps that occurred.
Yeah.
And we all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. And if you can establish a culture in any organization that affirms the person and believes in the potential of everybody, then you're going to find that there is a platform for growth in that organization.
This idea of growth, and again, I think what I'm hearing and what's coming to mind is growth. We can go a couple ways. One is personal growth, professional growth, the growth of the individual, either the leader, the entrepreneur, any employee. and the other just the growth of the entity itself, the company, the idea, the cause. How did you, because it seems you were able to manage both of those. You were growing, learning, getting better. All the people there, I bet, were growing, and the company was growing. And the challenges, the opportunities that come with, especially managing a public company and all the the new demands, let's call them, or different demands. How did you look at growth and lead it, manage it, the balance of growth for growth's sake? What did growth mean to you then, and how did you tackle that?
Well, I think the key to effectiveness is centered on your ability to listen and learn from others and from life. And when I went into the business, I was the boss's son.
Right.
So if you have had a dynamic father, as I did, and you have his name with Junior tacked on, how do they regard you? Well, you have to sell yourself to everybody in that company. So there's something to be said for the top person in an organization being the best salesman or saleswoman. Is that what you say today? Saleswoman?
Salespeople.
Salesperson.
Yeah,
salesperson. There you go. And so I would introduce myself by saying, well, we all know how I got my job. Good looks, intelligence, and boss's son. Whoops. That order isn't right, is it?
Nice. That's good.
But let me tell you this. I have done most of the jobs in this company that you do, and my confession to you is that I was not good at any one of them. But that taught me how much I, as CEO, need you. I need to learn from you. But I make this commitment to you today. If you will help us to figure out what we can come together to create in this company to give a better life to customers out there who are struggling people, they're our people. Those people who struggle need what we can provide in a Dollar General store that sells toilet paper cheaper than others sell toilet paper. And that is pretty doggone basic. But if you will help us to figure out how to serve our customer better, we will all share the success together. And I just hit the microphone. Turners talk with their hands a lot too. And so
You're good. That's good.
Apologize to whatever engineers back there.
No, we like that piece. So that piece, and again, the mission of Dollar General has always been clear. It's everything you just said. As the company becomes public, goes public, there has to be a huge temptation to say, you know what? If we increase toilet paper 10 cents, that share price, and man, I have a lot of shares. How do you avoid that? And stay true to because everything you just said, I'm ready to go apply for work at Dollar General right now. That sounds fantastic. That's a place people want to belong to. They want to work for. They want to share in that success. So how do you? Was there a friction?
Well, true success always involves friction.
Excellent.
But there is. Success over that friction is one of the great rewards of life, though, Sam. And everyone wants to be part of something that is successful and good. I don't think God made very many people or persons who wake up every morning and say, now, whom can I really do it to today?
Mm-hmm.
But there is something empowering and motivating about being part of true success. And largely what I did in my interviews was try to learn how this person defines success. What motivates that person? What does he or she want to be part of?
Yeah.
And that was the way we built the company.
When did you know it might be time to hand over the reins?
Well, we had developed a lot of sophistication at Dollar General. We had succession planning going, and then the company got into real trouble, and our company went to the SEC by saying there is an error in our financials. And that's the most painful admission of mistake that a public company could ever make.
Mm-hmm.
And it tore my heart out, and it happened to occur at the same time of my father's death. So life can throw really horrible times at you, and yet, as I look back over my 85 years, I discover that those horrible times were the times of highest potential for development. You can learn the lesson you need to learn where life seems to be winning. And a lot of success has to do with your faith. And if your faith is completely in yourself, to me, you're not a candidate to be a great entrepreneur. If you have a faith in others that is contagious and attracts that kind of talent to join with you, then you're on the road to success.
And after that, I mean, you had this, as Dollar General grew, the impact you had there, all these lessons you share with us, it wasn't, you could have ridden off into some kind of sunset. But what I've known about you before we met today, your family, I mean, the generosity, the lessons that you all seem to be imparting through your initiatives, your giving, your family foundation. Talk to us about that. I mean, the whole point of the show is circling back. It's not just you were successful, congratulations, but you were successful and you found a commitment to helping others on their journey. And so I mentioned I was at Fisk earlier today. You have benefited that organization, Vanderbilt, particularly through their business programs and looking at businesses that help the most vulnerable, the least of these throughout. I mean, why have those sorts of approaches been important for you all? And why have you chosen to stay active in those areas?
Well, Sam, I got into philanthropy from an ignoble motive.
Okay.
I was told, Mr. Turner, if you died today, this is how much your estate would owe Uncle Sam.
Okay.
And my thought was that, how can I put it in a nice way? that annoys the hell out
Sure.
of me.
Yeah.
And just to think it's going away after I'm gone. Wait a minute. I'd rather have the fun of giving away as much as I can while I'm here to see the good that it could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into philanthropy selfishly, and it changed my life. And I recommend it.
Highly recommended.
Yes.
What are some of those? Again, there's a lot if we were trying to go down the list, but again, whether it's something that offers education, if it's something about how business can help others, what have been some of those causes that have had maybe not the most fun, but where that you've had fun with?
Well, we had the problem of operating a lot of little stores everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and each store could not be a good citizen because of its small size. It couldn't respond to all of the appeals in that community. So we decided that as a company, we should come together and pick one cause where we could make a big difference.
Okay.
What is our cause at Dollar General? Well, our founder, Luther Turner, only had a third-grade education. Why shouldn't literacy be our cause? There are people out there who are struggling because they don't know how to get ahead. Some of them can't even read, and they spend their lifetime concealing their secret that they can't read. It would surprise us to know how many persons like that exist out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was Luther Turner. When I was going out on the farm visiting with Papa, his grammar would embarrass me because I was already a pretty good student in school, and I knew better than to put a sentence together the way he did.
Fair. Yeah.
But there are people out there who need our help, and they come into our stores. So we set up a program where we would connect anyone who wanted to get ahead in life, to get his or her GED or to learn to read. We would set up a network to help them make the right connection to take the first step. And we incorporated that into our back-to-school advertising one year. Now that the kids are going back to school, we think about our founder. At Dollar General, his name was Luther Turner, and he could scarcely read and write. Wow. But he started the company. And there are a lot of Luther Turners out there today, and Dollar General wants to help you. So if you will go into a Dollar General store and fill out this form, Miss Earlene here in Scottsville, Kentucky, will see that you are connected with the right organization in your community to take the first step.
Yeah.
And for that program, I received an award from President Ronald Reagan at the White House.
Wow.
And I had the joy of telling my mother a few months before her death that I was going to receive that award. And when I did receive that award after her death, I felt her presence there. And I was so excited to be there that I was in a line of, there were several of us to receive the award from President Reagan. And I was so excited that I made eye contact with him. And I didn't take my eyes off of him, and he looked over at this strange looking person who was staring at him, and my face has always been very dramatic, and he couldn't figure me out. but there I was, a Turner in the Rose Garden, and there was President Reagan, and I felt my mother's presence there. And that had to do with taking what was naturally who we were, country folks. The people from the country, and many of them live in the city now, have assets that they ought to employ in serving others.
I love that connection point. And I've got one more question for you before we round up, but I love that idea of Luther Turner, his background, how you connected that, where you ended up in that moment in the Rose Garden. For people listening out there, entrepreneurs, whether they're just got an idea and they haven't started, or people who've been running a family business for 40 years, I want to talk about service to end on. You mentioned this idea of embedding service into your business, loving your customer, considering people family. Somebody who thinks, I'll do it later. I'll do it after I make the money, and then we'll become a service-oriented company, or I'll just make my money and then I'll give it away later. What is your encouragement to really integrate those things as soon as you can?
Well, your greatest opportunity of serving, I won't say service.
Right.
Your greatest opportunity of serving is right now. There is something now you can do. It may be nothing more than to smile at somebody in a crowded elevator in Manhattan. I once got on an elevator, and this administrative assistant female person got on with a brown paper sack for her, and it was her lunch. And I turned to her and I said, "What are you having for lunch?"
Is it New York? You're in New York?
It's in New York.
Okay,
If people just all of us crowded in an elevator. We had a long ride to get to the top. And she said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I'm so and so and so." And people in that elevator were rolling their eyes at the conversation I had with this perfectly strange female over her lunch, and how she'd made the sandwich or what she'd done, But now, look at that opportunity. We are here to connect with others in a way that makes them feel affirmed, as my father, the real Cal Turner, affirmed Cal Turner Jr. There's a way of doing that, and your way is different from anybody else's way because you're different. You're not like anybody else.
That's right. What a great lesson there. Any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
I don't think so, because I have, of the hundreds of thousands of people I've met in my lifetime, Sam, I've never met anyone that I consider to be equally blessed. And that has been an existential wind-up for me always. All of the people who have loved me and invested in me, and to live your life in a way that pays back all of those people in your past who have invested in your life is one of the greatest rewards of living, and I recommend it to everyone.
Cal, thank you for these stories. Thank you for your time today.
Sam, thank you. We had no trouble getting into some good stuff here, and I thank you for that opportunity.
You bet. Thank you for tuning in today on this episode of Circle Back. As always, these episodes are made possible with the generosity of the Beth and Randy Chase family, as well as a partnership with Nashville Post. Be sure to listen, rate, and share wherever you enjoy podcasts. We'll see you next time on Circle Back.